Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the sixth module of the chapter, The Enemy, written by Perles Buck. Now, in this module, you will read and comprehend the text, and also you will be able to make notes from a given passage. Now, let's move on to our lesson. We had stopped where Dr. Sadao was doing a surgery on the American, and when he was doing the surgery, his surgical equipment, the tool, hit on something like a stone near the kidney. Now let's see what it is. All thought left him. He felt only the purest pleasure. He probed with his fingers, delicately, familiar with every atom of this human body. His old American professor of anatomy had seen to that knowledge. Ignorance of the human body is the surgeon's cardinal sin, sirs. He had thundered at his classes year after year. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it, anything less than that is murder. It is not quite at the kidney, my friend, Sadao murmured. It was his habit to murmur to the patient when he forgot himself in an operation. My friend, he always called his patients, and so now he did, forgetting that this was his enemy. Then, quickly, with the cleanest and most precise of incisions, the bullet was out. The man quivered, but he was still unconscious. Nevertheless, he muttered a few English words. Guts, he muttered, choking. They got my guts. Sadao, Hannah cried sharply. Hush, Sadao said. The man sank again into silence so profound that Sadao took up his wrist, hating the touch of it. Yes, there was still a pulse, so faint, so feeble, but enough if he wanted the man to live, to give hope. But certainly I do not want this man to live, he thought. No more anesthetic, he told Hannah. He turned as swiftly as though he had never paused, and from his medicines he chose a small vial and from it filled a hypodermic and thrust it into the patient's left arm. Then, putting down the needle, he took the man's wrist again. The pulse under his fingers fluttered once or twice and then grew stronger. This man will live in spite of all, he said to Hannah and sighed. The young man woke, so weak, his blue eyes so terrified when he perceived where he was, that Hannah felt compelled to apologize. She herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing. Don't be afraid, she begged him softly. How come you speak English? He gasped. I was a long time in America, she replied. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so she knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. Now, will you soon be strong? She said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. He did not answer. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with effort. Lie down, Sadao cried. Do you want to die? He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? For a moment, Sadao did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the skill quilt over the man. I do not know myself what I shall do with you, he said. I ought, of course, to give you to the police. You are a prisoner of war. No, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. They looked at each other for a moment and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. Outside the door, Hannah was waiting for Sadao. He saw at once that she was in trouble. Sadao, Yumi tells me the servants feel they cannot stay if we hide this man here anymore, she said. She tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first. They think we like Americans. It is not true, Sadao said harshly. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. The servants cannot understand that, she said anxiously. No, he agreed. Neither seemed able to say more, and somehow the household dragged on. The servants grew more watchful. Their courtesy was as careful as ever, but their eyes were cold upon the pair to whom they were hired. It is clear what our master wants. It is clear what our master ought to do, the old gardener said one morning. He had worked with flowers all his life and had been a specialist too in moss. For Sadao's father, he had made one of the finest moss gardens in Japan, sweeping the bright green carpet constantly so that not a leaf or a pine needle marked the velvet of its surface. My old master's son knows very well what he ought to do, he now said, pinching a bud from a bush as he spoke. When the man was so near death, why did he not let him bleed? He is so proud of his skill that he saves any life, the cook said contemptuously. She split a fowl's neck skillfully and held the fluttering bird and let its blood flow into the roots of a wisteria vine. Blood is the best of fertilizers, and the old gardener would not let her waste a drop of it. It is the children of whom we must think, Yumi said sadly. What will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor? They did not try to hide what they said from the ears of Hannah as she stood arranging the day's flowers in the veranda nearby, and she knew they spoke on purpose that she might hear. That they were right, she knew too in most of her being, but there was another part of her which she herself could not understand. It was not sentimental liking of the prisoner. She had come to think of him as a prisoner. She had not liked him even yesterday when he had said in his impulsive way, "Anyway, let me tell you that my name is Tom." She had only bowed her little distant bow. She saw hurt in his eyes, but she did not wish to assuage it. Indeed, he was a great trouble in this house. As for Sadao, every day he examined the wound carefully. The last stitches had been pulled out this morning, and the young man would in a fortnight be nearly as well as ever. Sadao went back to his office and carefully typed a letter to the chief of police reporting the whole matter. On the 21st day of February, an escaped prisoner was washed up on the shore in front of my house. So far he typed, and then he opened a secret drawer of his desk and put the unfinished report into it. On the 7th day after that, two things happened. In the morning, the servants left together, their belongings tied in large square cotton kerchiefs. When Hannah got up in the morning, nothing was done. The house was not cleaned and the food not prepared, and she knew what it meant. She was dismayed and even terrified, but her pride as a mistress would not allow her to show it. Instead, she inclined her head gracefully when they appeared before her in the kitchen, and she paid them off and thanked them for all that they had done for her. They were crying, but she did not cry. The cook and the gardener had served Sadao since he was a little boy in his father's house, and Yumi cried because of the children. She was so grieving that after she had gone, she ran back to Hannah. "If the baby misses me too much tonight, send for me. I'm going to my own house and you know where it is." "Thank you," Hannah said smiling, but she told herself she would not send for Yumi, however the baby cried. She made the breakfast and Sadao helped with the children. Neither of them spoke of the servants beyond the fact that they were gone. But after Hannah had taken morning food to the prisoner, she came back to Sadao. Why is it we cannot see clearly what we ought to do? She asked him. Even the servants see more clearly than we do. Why are we different from other Japanese? Sadao did not answer, but a little later he went into the room where the prisoner was and said brusquely. Now, in this module, we know that Sadao was doing a surgery on the American, and while he was doing the surgery, his equipment hit on something like a stone, and it was a bullet. And he pulled out the bullet very carefully, and at that time he remembered his old professor saying that unless you are very familiar with the human body, you know every atom of the human body, you are not ready to do a surgery. Only if you know every atom of the human body, you can do a surgery. Otherwise, it is just like a murder. He remembered those words when he was doing this. And when he was doing this surgery, he was too much fully absorbed in his work. He forgot everything else. He forgot that the patient who was lying in front of him was his enemy. He forgot everything. He was a doctor and this was his patient. That's all he knew at that time. And this person, because of the pain of taking out the bullet, he started muttering some words in English. Though it was not complete, full of meaning, it meant that something about the stomach. They hit my stomach or something. He meant such thing. Hannah was very frightened at that because she thought he was wakening up. But Sadao told her to be quiet. And the man went into silence again, and Sadao doubted whether he was alive still. He examined the man's pulse, and though it was feeble, it was enough for him to survive. He injected some medicines into the man's arm, and now the pulse grew stronger. When the man woke up, he was very much frightened to realize that he was in a Japanese house. He was comforted by Hannah in English. So he was surprised at Hannah speaking English. He asked her, "How do you know English?" And she said that they were in America. He wanted to reply for that, but he stopped. He did not ask her anything. When Sadao came inside the room, he saw this man. On the third day, when Sadao came inside the room, he saw this man sitting there. So Sadao was angry at this. He told, "If you are not lying down on the bed, if you are doing such things, you are going to kill yourself. The wound will again start to bleed, and you will be killing yourself." Sadao said, and he made him lie down, and he examined him carefully. He knew that he was getting well. He was healing, and then that time this man, he was just looking only 17 now. This boy, he asked Sadao, "What are you going to do with me?" So Sadao said, "Right now I don't know what to do with you, but actually I have to. I'm supposed to hand over you to the police." At that time, this boy started to speak something, but Sadao just told him to close, to keep his mouth closed. Sadao told him, "Please don't say anything, not even your name, unless I ask. I don't want you to talk anything." He said so, and he went out of the room. When he went outside, Hannah was waiting there. From her face, he knew that she's in trouble. She said that the servants are telling that they will not continue to work if we are helping this American again. They are going to, all the servants are going to leave the house if we are continuing, if we continue to keep him in our house. So, the servants are telling that Hannah and Sadao were in America, so they love America more than their country. So Sadao was angry at this. He said, "No, that is not true." But the servants cannot agree that. The servant does not understand that. That's what Hannah told him, and Sadao too agreed to that. And then next, Sadao said that he did not wish to save this man, but he was taught that if a person is dying in front of him, if there is anything he could help, he could do to save his life, he has to do that. That was what he was taught. That's why he was trying to save the life of this man. And when Hannah went to the kitchen, the servants were talking to each other. They were telling that if Sadao is being arrested, what will be the fate of the children? And they were telling that he is too skilled at his work. That is trying to. He's very proud of his skill. That's why he is trying to save every life, to show off or to be famous. That's why he is doing this. And they were discussing many other things. These servants, the gardener and the cook, they were all very sincere workers, but still they did not agree to their master's activities, this kind of activities. And so they purposefully talked themselves so that Hannah should hear this and report it to Sadao. The next day, when Dr. Sadao examined him, his wound was getting completely healed and he took out the last stitches. And he was sure that within a fortnight, within 2 weeks, he'll be all right. This person will be all right. And after examining this person, he went out and he took a piece of paper and he started writing a report to the chief of police, stating all what had happened. But he did not complete it. He kept it inside his drawer, his shelf. And the next day, when Hannah woke up, the servants had not done any work. The house was not cleaned, the food was not made, nothing was done. She knew what it meant. And when she went to the kitchen, she saw them standing there with all their things packed. They were ready to go. All the servants were ready to go back home. And they were crying. They were very sad to leave their masters, but still they did not agree to what they are doing now. Hannah, she was worried, but she did not show it out. She paid them and she thanked them for all their service. Yumi was very sad that of leaving the children. Now here we can stop for today. Now these are the new words that we came across today. Just have a look at it. Go through these words. And if you find any more difficult words in these passages, try finding the meanings from the dictionary. These are the self-check questions. Try answering them. And if you're not able to answer them, you read again. Read your text again. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.